Hold on to your mug. We're in for a wild night.
Greeting, traveler.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Born to be Wild, a Wild exclusive Hearthstone podcast where we have fun hanging out with friends, talking about the Wild format of Hearthstone and spotlighting members of the Wild community. I'm your host, as always, Nate Wolf. It is great to be back on another beautiful sunny evening here in Portland, Oregon. We're on the cusp of summer here, and it is just beautiful outside. A little breeze going, and it's it couldn't be better. I'm joined tonight by two of my favorite people. We have a very special guest who you may have seen before. Hydra, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing awesome. It was a short week this week, and Friday came fast, and it couldn't come faster. It's just great. It's awesome, and I'm really happy. I'm stoked for tonight, man.
Love it. And hey, yeah, we've got a really special guest. You guys have seen him before here on the show doing some review episodes, but we realized that we've never had him on as like a solo guest before. So welcome back to the show, ElectricSheepCity. How you doing tonight?
Meowdy.
Hey.
I'm doing really well. Great to be here, friends.
Rock and roll. That's great. Hey, really happy to have you. Especially, we talk about you every week because part of the show, we're covering this listener series, and I keep saying like, oh, you guys have no idea what goes behind the scenes. Oh, there's all this programming. Oh, these sheets, you got to see them. So now you get to see like the man behind the curtain over here. So
this is the Wizard of Sheep.
right?
Don't look behind the curtains.
So, I'm sorry, that's not a very proper introduction. What I should say is, legendary Wild Hearthstone streamer, legendary, hit legend, multiple legend in Standard, multiple legend in Wild, part of F2K Comnet, LEGO builder extraordinaire.
Just keep on piling it on.
Right.
This is a great resume. Thank you.
Captain's an amazing ship in Sea of Thieves. He's all over the place.
Yeah, that's right.
Pirate legend as well, actually.
Oh, Pirate legend.
Let's go.
Have you hit legend with Pirate Warrior and legend in Sea of Thieves? That's like a double whammy over there. So, well, welcome.
I don't know that I've hit legend with Pirate Warrior now that you mention it. That may be a goal for this next season.
Right? Very cool. Hey, for people who may not be familiar, would you do us the favor of just a brief intro, or tell us about yourself, as much or as little as you're willing to share, but like how long you've been playing Hearthstone, why do you like Wild, and whatever else you feel like sharing.
Absolutely. So I am ElectricSheepCity. The name is a little odd on first blush. So Hydra and I were kind of like talking before the show, and he's like, "Did you ever mention how you got your name?"
I couldn't remember. I couldn't.
Right? So, Electric Sheep is a reference to Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, the Philip K. Dick novel that Blade Runner is based off of. So, back in the day, my buddy and I were going to like do this like cyberpunk like book podcast where we were like reviewing all these different cyberpunk books, and it never really took off. We read a couple together, but we never really like recorded anything about it. But I made it my Twitch handle and everything, and had the website, and it just kind of stuck. It seemed to fit.
That's very creative. It really is. I've always been wondering.
I kind of stumbled into it, not gonna lie. It was not an intentional a decision to kind of make that my like online persona.
Well,
but it works.
Now you're stuck with it.
Exactly.
It's on your shirt there as well. You got a nice, cool sheep wielding a sword and shield.
Hey, who is it that does the art for you? Because I want to give them a big shout out because it's amazing. And
yeah, so the vast majority of my artwork is done by Riraro, who is amazing. There are a few tidbits that are done by Castrovet, who's also amazing. But most of them, like all of my emotes and stuff like that, that's Rue.
Very cool. Yeah, it's amazing. The artwork is fantastic. I always like every time I pop into your Discord, it's like there's a new picture. I know with the Barons, like there was a new picture of the sheep with the sword and the shield or whatever, like out in like Rokara style, and I was like, man, this is great.
He really outdid himself with that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
that was fantastic. By the way, so Blade Runner aside, I remember when A Scanner Darkly came out and thinking how cool it was that it was like I don't know, it's animated, but it's like animated on top of a film, kind of like it's super trippy. So
they made the whole thing. They like filmed it, and then they did a rotoscope, is what that's called. Where they basically like put that like almost essentially like a Photoshop filter. Very different than that. It's much more in depth than that. You know, there's a lot more touching up, etc. But like everything is rotoscope, so it's like, gosh, who else in that? I know Keanu Reeves.
Rotoscope, is that how the Take on Me music video's done?
I think it is, but a much older version of it.
Yeah, you know, it's got Winona Ryder and Woody Harrelson and Robert Downey Jr. It's a good cast there. Good. Yeah. Anyways, so how long you been playing Hearthstone?
So I've been playing Hearthstone. Gosh, I know that either TFT had the Grand Tournament TGT had either just come out or like was about to come out. Whenever I very first started playing Hearthstone, and I was super free to play. Like my friend was just like trying to get me to get a collection to play Mech Mage, because that was like the most like the cheapest but like best deck that I could kind of get at the time. And I remember very vividly that I finally got the dust together to craft Dr. Boom that morning. That afternoon, they announced the standard and wild split.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
The day that I crafted Dr. Boom, and I was like, okay, if I want to continue playing this game, like I'm just going to have to like throw my wallet on the table, and you know, like the way that things are just going to churn over for standard, definitely going to have to do that. But I don't want to lose all these cards that I've been playing.
Yeah.
So of course, you know, it's like, hey, I'm still going to play some wild. I didn't play a ton of it, like with the initial kind of wave, but whenever Whispers of the Old Gods rotated into wild, like that's when I continued to jump in, because Whispers of the Old Gods was exactly like that. That's where they got me.
Yeah. No, that makes sense now that you mention it. When wild and standard first split, it was like, well, they were so similar at the time, and it was like, actually standard is more different than wild because now we're on this limited collection, and wild is like, well, that's what we've been playing for the last few years, so this is the new different one. And so it was interesting. I mean, I was kind of in the same boat, and I played both, but you know,
I was more confused because I did not pay attention to social media or anything. I'm like, what's happening? Where are my cards?
I cannot imagine, like, I think we're all so invested in the game that we're really plugged into all of the news sources, and every time there's something new, it's like, okay, I know about it. And if you're just a casual player and you aren't tuned into all this stuff, you're like, oh, this game needs a giant update, sigh, you know, and you download the update, and then it's like, there's a new year, there's a new format, you can't play these old cards anymore, and you're like, what just happened? And you know, it is what it is, I suppose. But
by and large, they do a pretty good job of like explaining what the changes are whenever something's been nerfed, with the only exception of that being Mankrik, because like whenever they nerfed Mankrik, it's like this to this, and it didn't look like it had changed because it was Olga's wife or Mad Crick that actually like was the change.
Yeah, same card.
So those things that you and I kind of just like take for granted and just like click through, back for the first like year or so that I was playing Hearthstone, I was reading those because I didn't really know what was going on.
Yeah.
And so what got you into Hearthstone in the first place?
So my best friend Sprocket, he and I are the ones who started playing Sea of Thieves together. He got me into it. He's just like, you have to play this. It's really fun. Got me into it. You know, for the longest time we just kept on playing. He finally hit Legend with like Jade Druid, like back in the day. Like he was the first one from the two of us to hit Legend. He hit it the one time. It was great. It was a fantastic accomplishment. And he's like, I beat the game. I don't have to play it. So meanwhile, I'm like, well, I haven't done that yet. Like, I want to hit legend. So, I finally did first in standard with like an Uther / Xyrella OTK paladin.
Oh, that's
Wow.
wow.
Yeah, that was my jam. Papa Jason helped me with that one. Before he was like a GM, like back in the day. So like that felt really cool to kind of like get that coaching and like that kind of like more pro like slant to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I finally, like had the more experience with that kind of tactical side to it, and here's what I'm doing and when, because like I was good at the game before then, but like I had never hit legend before or anything like that. And once I actually had some coaching, it kind of like was like, here's how to kind of navigate through those. So that really helped. And ever since then, I mean, I haven't hit legend every time since then, but it's for the past year, it's pretty much always happened.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Well, it's sort of I'm very happy to have you on. Solo, we've had you on many times. It's sort of a tradition at this point. Every time we do a review show, it's like, hey, Sheep's coming on. And it's always great to get your assistance with all the artwork and the sheets and the scoring and all that stuff. So I'm happy that you can hang out with us tonight. We're looking forward to it.
And what a weird coincidence, because there are some new cards we'll talk about later.
Oh.
So, hey.
The timing was really good. I was sitting here thinking like,
Really
oh God,
was.
it's another week with like no news. And then of course they dropped us and then it's last minute scramble to put all this stuff together. But I'm excited. New stuff is always good. And we're going to get, a card dump of 30-ish cards over the next 3 to 4 days. So it's just going to be a flurry. So it'll be fun. I do want to say we are going to do our full card review show next week. And so we're looking at a few tonight that were officially released by Hearthstone. I know some others were leaked and translated. We're going to save those for next week, but we'll be looking at several of them tonight and then do the full review next week. So yeah, it'll be exciting.
So before we get into news and listener series news, let's see how everybody's doing and what we've been up to this week. Nate, how's it going? What have you been up to?
It's been good. Like this whole week was like, I don't know if it was super fast or super slow for me. Work was kind of crazy. So I was telling these guys Monday night, I pulled like a 12-hour day because I had to do work like normal and then present our budget to the mayor and city council and all that kind of like, and I don't know, we did that until almost 10 o'clock at night. And then I had to work the next morning and it was like, okay, well, back to the grind. And then I had another big presentation on Thursday. So I worked until about 7 o'clock on Wednesday night. And so by the end of the week, I was like, wow, what happened? My sleep schedule was all messed up. And last night, I got home from work and was like, I'm really tired. I'm just going to lay down for a minute. Like, I'm going to set the alarm for like an hour and I'll probably sleep for like 30 minutes, but I'll set the alarm for an hour just in case. And that was around like 6 o'clock or so. I just meant to lay down for a couple minutes and then I woke up and it was like 10, maybe 10:30. And I was like, oh my God, what happened? What day is it? Where is everybody?
Yeah.
What's going on? Like, so I'm a little discombobulated. Like and I was like, oh my gosh, like I got to prep for the show. Oh, I got to play my listener series matches tomorrow. Like, oh, there's all this stuff I got to do. So I'm looking forward to this weekend just to play catch up a little bit and kind of get things back to normal. I have been playing a lot of Mass Effect trilogy because I love it. It's probably one of my favorite series of all time. So I'm very close to the end of Mass Effect 1. I've been doing like a Paragon playthrough and it's very fun. I'm excited that they redid the graphics and some of the gameplay for it. So it's actually been pretty good. It's a little bit cheesy, but it's very good. Of the three, it's like the bad one, but like it's not bad. So that's been fun. Of course, I've been playing some Hearthstone, and I started playing Diablo 3 as well. because I started getting excited because Diablo 2 remake is coming out, and then they're working on Diablo 4. I did see, we were joking the other day that Diablo 2 is coming out and you could pre-order it, but there were no goodies.
Yeah.
Well, they've added goodies now, so you can get it. There's a version of it that you can get it's about $50, and it comes with Diablo 3 if you don't have it, and then it comes with extra in-game goodies for Diablo 3. And that includes the remake of Diablo 2. So or you can get Diablo 2 standalone for like $30 or something. But it's cool. The upgrade is like right in the middle. So I probably will end up doing that. The only other thing I will say, someone had recommended to watch, I think it was Shia Wasina, was recommending Castlevania on Netflix. And so I started watching it and oh dude, it is very good. It is very, very good.
I've heard. I haven't tried it yet.
I mean, I played a bunch of the games, so I'm inherently a fan, right? But the animation is great. The voice acting is great. The animation is stellar. Just the fighting scenes and stuff. It's really cool. I don't want to spoil the story, but I'm 4 or 5 episodes in, and it's it's over. Okay. And there's 4 seasons, and so it's oh man, what is going to happen next? Now, if you've played the games, Dracula revives over and over and over and over. I don't know what's going to happen in the show. I'm not there yet, but it's very good. That's all I will say is I'm really enjoying it. It's on Netflix. And is it for the kids? No, it is not for the kids. It is very bloody and there's lots of swearing. So, but it's a lot of fun. So if that's your thing, then check it out. But I will say it's good. It's been a lot of fun. So that's really been my week. Kind of a blur, but overall I'm having fun. Sheep, how about you? How's your week been?
My week has been pretty awesome. So I had this week off of work, which is great, which means that we've been doing a lot of housework, so cleaning up a whole lot. I've been unintentionally tanking my rank in Hearthstone. In Wild and Standard, I've been playing achievement decks because I hadn't been grinding achievements at all. So whenever it's before we're working on the house or afterwards, and I just kind of want to work on those achievements, that's what I've been doing there. Whenever I've been climbing, I've been playing Classic, so I've gotten up to Platinum in Classic.
Oh no way!
But nice. I'm in Legend in both Standard and Wild, so a lot of fun. My rank looks pretty terrible, but I'm having fun doing it, and that's what matters. My goal just hasn't been to win. It's been to complete achievements.
What have you been playing in Classic?
In Classic, mostly Combo Druid, because I really like the mid-ranginess of it, and I had already had it in all gold. So, the Diamond Rag kind of helped with that as well. The version I was running didn't have Rag. So I
say it does now.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah, when Diamond Rag was the perfect choice, I think.
It looks so cool.
Well, they couldn't have picked a more a better card to kind of embody the Classic format, I think. I mean, that's my opinion, but it's it's a neutral, it's got a lot of flavor, there's a lot of lore. It's such a good pick in my book.
Yeah. Speaking of lore, I've been reading some of the comics for the Warcraft stuff that Goliath the Dwarf mentioned. Was it the last time he was on? The first time he was on? Whenever he was like, "Hey, there's this Humble Bundle. Check it out if you're interested." And so I bought it back then and have actually been starting to go through those. So I'm almost done with the first 150 page one because I mostly read those at night. So that's been a blast too.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, for me, I've done a few things this week. Speaking of books, I was reading, if you guys remember, I was reading Stephen King's The Shining. So I finished that and I was pretty stoked. Actually, it's not exactly the same as the movie. No spoilers if you haven't read it, but I highly recommend it if you've just seen the movie, never read the book. It's both are great. The movie was amazing, but so is the book. The book is absolutely amazing. There's so much more insights into what's going on.
Oh, big time!
And everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like in the movie, like you see the little flashes of, the little girls or the lady in room 237, I think it is. No, it's up, but you learn about all these things, right? Like there's so much more to it. You're in everybody's head. Like it goes between like all three characters and the main characters anyway, and what they're thinking at the time, and like it's phenomenal. Totally recommend it. And I'm about to start Dr. Sleep probably in the next couple days.
Oh, you will love it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. I don't know why it's taken me this long, because like I've been a fan of Stephen King since I was pretty young, and I read Pet Sematary, and I just loved the book. The movie's a little silly.
Oh, both the movies are bad.
I haven't seen the new one. I only seen the old one. That like it's just 80s cringy horror, like.
The book was crazy. Like that was one where, his older ones, okay, like Stephen King back in like 1970s. Stephen King was on a multi-year bender of drugs and alcohol that drastically influenced his writing. And
that might explain it.
And so when you read some of the older books, you're like, oh, like wow, like that. Okay, that's something right there. And Pet Sematary is one of those.
Yeah. So yeah, planning on doing Dr. Sleep soon, and I guess sticking along the horror theme. Everyone I've seen is now playing the new Resident Evil game, Village.
Oh, dude, it looks good.
I want to play it so bad, but I didn't finish 7.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've jumped back in, and I'm playing 7 over again.
Because how is it? I never played that one either.
Oh, I'm having a lot of fun. It's very, very creepy. I looked up the total playtime, and it's supposed to only be like 13 hours or something like that. And I've spent way more. Like, I'm going to be over that, like, for sure. Because I think I'm like maybe a third or halfway into the game, and probably already played about like 8 or 9 hours. Because I go everywhere, I search everything, and I'm literally creeping around each corner. I'm like, you're not going to surprise me. But guess what? They do. They still do. They get you every time. So it's a super fun game. I've been playing that and having like an absolute blast. I also have this little treasure here. If you're not watching live or haven't seen on Twitter, but my wife made this little Murloc dude.
It's so cute.
Yeah. It was like I've been asking her for the last 3 or 4 years to make me Murloc, because she makes all sorts of little things all the time. She's made like the Among Us guys. She's made Hearthstone beer cozies. She's made this Hearthstone iPad case where I've got a golden Leroy Jenkins on the back of it.
Wow, that's
she makes all sorts of weird things, but she made this little Murloc, and it is like the cutest little thing ever. I was gonna prop it up like on my mic here, but my mic's a little too low, so it didn't really work out. But I'll put him somewhere. I'll figure out a spot, and he could be in the stream next to me. Maybe I'll get a whole bunch. They'll be like tribbles. We'll have them everywhere.
That's great. I saw some tides. It was so cool though. I saw you tweet it out this week, and then the official Hearthstone people liked it. Like,
yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah, I told my wife that. I was like, the people that made the game liked your Murloc. She's like, no way.
Right? That's so good.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, we need her to figure out how to mass produce them now.
Oh, I know, right? At first, she's like, "This is the only one I'm making." I'm like, "But you could make like every color combination. You could put like a little scarf on them, you know."
Hey, I mean, I love it.
Drinking a mug of tea, like have them holding spoons.
Right?
That's so good.
Possibilities are endless.
Right.
Exactly. Hearthstone wise, I was playing more on the new account that I had made, and you'd be surprised how fast that rewards track goes. Like even as free to play, they really like front load that thing because I'm already at it's like level 43 or 44.
Wow.
Something like that on and it's not, and I'm only on the ladder like 26, I think, something like that, 26, 27. And almost halfway through the levels on the reward track. Experience wise, you're nowhere near half, but like where they get you, so like it just feels like you play a few games and you're opening packs like crazy. So it's actually a pretty good feeling in the beginning. And I had mentioned last week that I had only faced like a lot of free-to-play decks, and I was wondering when that was going to change, and it's definitely changed. Around the rank 30 mark, I feel like every person I played had purchased the $20 deck at that point, and I had not. So it was brutal, like a sub 50%.
Ouch.
Like climb when you have all the crappy cards.
Yeah, I will say, like, for my son, we had played a lot over the week. He's, wanting to play more Hearthstone, probably because I play a lot of Hearthstone, and he likes Demon Hunter. And I was like, well, let's buy you one of the pre-made bundles. And we were able to make a super competitive Death Rattle Demon Hunter, primarily with the cards that they provided. I think we swapped like 3 or 4 cards maybe. And,
nice.
And like that's pretty much it. And I'm sitting here posting in our Discord, like, okay, I'm so proud, like 9-year-old kid. He's got almost a 90% win rate with this. And granted, like it's a different rank, but like it's so great. And he, just hearing him like laugh every time he drops like Blackthorn or N'Zoth or right, it's so fun. And so it's been that's been our like bonding this week. But I feel like as a free to play account for him, like you're not going to have that stuff, and so the opportunity, like, okay, I'm going to spend $20, but
totally
I'm going to get at least 3 legends that I didn't have. And now I do. And like, cool, because the chances of you opening those from packs are super slim, and crafting them costs a lot of dust. So the one card that we crafted was the new N'Zoth, but that was it. Everything else, he was missing a couple things, so we subbed in the amalgams that he already had, and like he just loves it. It's been a blast. So sorry, I didn't mean to take over your spot.
No. That I saw you post that and mind blown. Like it's just really cool to see, and it's a proud dad moment, right? Like, look what I did. I remember my kid when he was playing mid-range hunter, and he was showing me like when he was just owning people at rank like 17 or 18 or whatever it was, and he's just having a blast. When he reached, I think he by himself hit 15 like alone playing mid-range hunter.
Dude, that's great.
That's awesome.
And it was just this cool feeling, and he's an emoter too, like every time.
Thank you. Wow.
I will hunt you down.
Delightful.
But yeah, so that's been going decent. Playing the sort of the garbage mage deck that you sort of start out with, it like is horrible going into like the control warlock that you can buy. Like you got like no chance. Like it's just they have board clears for days, right? Like every single you just drop because the core set deck for mage is just kind of like a couple secrets and some big bombs, like the dragon, the 6/7 that lets you use your hero power more than once a turn.
Caldara Drake.
Yeah, you just drop that, and then they just siphon soul it. Oh, cool, thanks. Right, like you drop 3 things, and then they use the kill 3 minions card.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, it's just brutal. So, I did realize you could just switch to Demon Hunter and play core Demon Hunter and destroy people. So that works too. It was really easy to get all the core set cards because you just have to hit ranks or a total of level 60. between all of the classes. That comes so fast. So fast. Like, I got a mage to level 20, and then I just played a few other classes to level 10. And that you get that XP really quickly, and then the entire core set is unlocked. So for free to play at the beginning, it's not too bad, really.
Yeah.
On regular accounts, I dinged 100 on NA, and I picked Malfurion. So that, because I need to play Druid, and Sheep's going to talk to me about that a little bit later, because I've been complaining I need Druid wins, and I don't really like Druid, and I've never really played Druid, so that'll be cool. On NA, NA, I dinged 100. On EU, I'm at 90, and Asia, I'm at 89.
Dude, wow.
So that's
some commitment.
I'm almost there on the other two servers. I'm climbing my way.
Nice.
So I'll get there. But yeah, that's been my week. How about we transition a little bit into the listeners series? Nate, what's been going on there?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we're now it's weird because the listener series starts over on Sunday, is the start of our week. And so we do the show on Friday, and so now it's towards the end of our week. So we're towards the end of week 4 right now. Going into the week, look who's sitting here on top. For those of you listening to the audio version, it's Mr. Hydralisk over here.
How did that happen?
Well, it's a tie. It's a tie. So it's Hydralisk with MartianBuu, Maxibon, and Swagwar. Tied for first place over here, and then followed very closely by Shia Wasina and Corbett, Absolute and Bane, Ben from Work, Dark Davy, Duocat, Joaquin, J Rose, and Oddlaw. So these are kind of our top right here. So yeah, that's exciting though. It's a lot of fun, and we're learning a lot as we go. Sheep has been instrumental in the process, and it's been a lot of fun to hang out each week and to kind of work on the stuff behind the scenes and kind of gathering up some ideas and things for the next season and see kind of how we want to, go with some of this stuff. But yeah, it's been a blast. And then the challenge for this week, it's called Big Papa. And so here's the challenge, right? It's based on a Biggie song, okay?
Throwing my hands in the air.
Right. So this week, the challenge is the deck must contain at least 15 minions. So here's the tricky part. All of the minions must cost at least 5, so 5 or more. So you're all looking at a bunch of big boys. And then all of the spells. So any minion that costs 4 or less is banned. And then all of the spells must be odd cost. So that throws kind of a wrench in everything. It makes things a little bit tricky. And so, it's been interesting, and testing and building decks this week has been an interesting experience.
Yeah, I was hit up by Swagwar, who asked me to make a gentleman's agreement to put in the new Nozdormo into our decks for this week. So I a little reluctantly agreed, but I agreed nonetheless. I feel like, because he plays meme decks all the time, this could be some trickery. As he's kind of well versed in these things. But I thought, hey, whatever, it's fun. He'll probably scramble just as much as I will.
The matches will be quick.
That's
very short.
That's for sure.
So we'll see how that one goes. We're gonna play tomorrow. So
cool. Yeah, I don't know. Sheep, can I put you on the spot for 2 seconds to talk a little bit about the how the scoring works, or any of the kind of behind the scenes stuff? I mean, you make it look so easy, but it's truly been I think a big learning experience for both of us.
Yeah, it's been a huge learning experience, and one that I'm glad to have kind of under my belt and to have learned from. So of course, first off, Ridiculous Hat gave us access to the sheets that they've used for some of their series, and that was really instrumental in helping create the sheets that we have. Obviously we made them our own, So it's definitely not just a copy paste by any stretch of the imagination. But instrumental would have been much different and much less plug and play without some of that kind of programming knowledge that I would have had to learn from scratch. So that was huge. Aside from that, obviously it was a lot of work kind of preparing, kind of putting everything together initially. But then after that, maintaining it has been a lot more kind of straightforward. So one of the things that you mentioned in particular was the point structure, how scoring works. So in each of your matches, if you win, you automatically are going to have 3 points. So if you sweep, so win 3-0, you get 5 points. If you lose the game, you lose a point. You have 4 points. If it's 3-2, you still get your 3 points. If you lose, but you got two wins, you got 2 points. If you got 1 win, 1 point. And if you got swept, unfortunately, you got 0 points. So that's kind of how we get to our point total there. At the end of everything, if we have a tie, that will be worked out with what's called opponent win rate. And that has this really complicated formula. But at the end of the day, it basically means that if the people who you played against had really good, a really good win rate, and kind of won more than the people who your opponents played against, then you will kind of prevail on top because your opponents had a higher win rate. So that's that opponent win rate there. Hopefully that isn't something that we'll kind of have to worry about and kind of have to run that algorithm. But it's definitely there if it kind of comes to that point. But as you can see there, like we've got like a really stacked top 15, and I can only imagine that it's going to continue. I mean, gosh, we've only got this and next week.
Yeah, so it's really close. I mean, for those of you who are tuning in that aren't familiar with the structure as a whole, it's set up to have 5 weeks of competitive play, and at the end of the 5 weeks, the top players are then invited to 3 weeks of playoffs, if that's what you call it. So like quarterfinals, semifinals, finals. And then something that we're doing differently this season than we did last season, differently than we'll probably do next season, is that there's a prize pool. And so we had a few of our community members who very generously donated a very large prize pool. So Dr. Evil and Schmoopy Daddy and Ben from Work graciously donated. So there's a prize pool for this, which has been, it's been a lot of fun. I sort of feel like the fun police, because often people will ask like, oh, can I do this? Oh, can I do that? I'm like, well, normally, yeah, but there's a lot of money on the line. So like, I got to take the rules really seriously. I'm sorry. And so I have been the bad guy quite frequently over the last several weeks, but I think it will be worth it. I think everybody for the most part is having a lot of fun, and we're all collectively learning quite a bit and doing sort of a community mind meld in terms of what we're looking at for the next season. And so it's just been a blast. Have been having a good time with it. And so, yeah. By the way, before we move on, I'm doing my match tonight right after the show. So if anybody is interested in watching it, I'm playing against Memnarch. I'm a little bit scared because I'm sitting at like 3,000 legend and Memnarch is at like top 10, but there's just, kind of 3,000 players in between us. That's okay. I think it will be a lot of fun. So Blue Train, an NHL fan who we had on the show last week, reached out and said, hey, can we cast your match? I was like, dude, that sounds cool. Let me ask Memnarch. And he said, yeah, that's great. And so that's happening at 9:30 tonight. So in about 2 hours, right after our show ends, they're going to be casting my match. So Blue Train and I got it all set up last night. It's ready to go. Blue Train's going to be hosting it, but we've got all the fun graphics and stuff like ready to go. So that'll be a lot of fun. So you can all watch me go out in a blaze of glory against Memnarch. But I will do my best. I will try, and I will try to eke out a win. We will see. But it's been a lot of fun. And big shout out also to Blue Train and Ben from Work, NHL, and 6J, and some others for doing some play testing with me. And it's been it's just so much fun. It's been truly like we talk about community building or whatever, and that's been a lot of fun for me, is we've got a separate Discord for the listener series, and when I see it go off, that's what it is over and over. It's like, hey, anybody want to play test? And then 5 different people, oh yeah, and all different times of the day. And so that's been fun to see. So yeah. Anyways, that's about it for the listener series. Stay tuned for more as we transition to the playoffs. I think hopefully we'll be able to start streaming a little bit more. Just some things that we need to coordinate on the back end. But yeah, stay tuned, to our show or to our Twitter or to our Discord for more news on that. And that being said, I'd like to transition into the Hearthstone news because we actually have quite a bit this week. So Hydra, if you wouldn't mind kicking us off into the Hearthstone news for this week.
Yeah, and you're right. We do have quite a bit. First, kicking it off, we've been waiting, and Thrall Book of Heroes is finally out. It's the free PvP solo content. If you complete it, it comes with a free Shaman pack containing 5 Shaman cards. Just good old free content that if you want to play it, it's there. Have you guys given this a shot yet?
Yeah, I took it down. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, cool. You did?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I love the solo content. That was one of the first ways that I really engaged with the game because initially I was a little scared to jump on the ranked ladder. Mm-hmm. So I'd either play solo adventures or casual. So solo adventures still to this day have a special place in my heart, and every time one comes out, I have to play it.
Yeah, they're so much fun. They're different now than they used to be. I was talking about it a little bit the other day, back in the day with Naxxramas and some of the old adventures when they would come out. It's like, now there's a mini set and you buy it and you get all the cards like in a one fell swoop. Back in the day, it was like, okay, you buy this thing for $20 or whatever it was, and then it was released over a 4-week period, and you unlock the cards by completing the wings. And I sort of like that. And Blue Train's like, yeah, I really prefer just having all the cards. And then I started thinking about it, and I was like, well, it was fun going through. Like, I love the PvE stuff and playing against the computer. I loved all the dialogue. Naxxramas is like probably my favorite. You're playing against Kel'Thuzad and he's just so hilarious. And unlocking the cards as you beat the wing. But when you did it live, it was like, okay, cool, I can beat the wing in an hour or half an hour or whatever the time is. You just jam through it. I'm like, oh, that was really fun. Now I have to wait a week to get the next one, and the waiting is rough. And so there's pros and cons. I mean,
back in my day, we have to earn our cards.
That's right, you young whippersnappers.
And while I really like playing through the solo content, I know a lot of people just want to like grab the cards and start playing with the new cards and building their own decks. Even whenever it was the kind of like tiered rolling out system, a lot of people just want to like build the deck and start going.
Yeah.
So while I like playing the solo content and I'm going to do it, I know I'm kind of the outlier there. So it makes sense that they're kind of moving away for that earning the card.
That's true. No, it's true.
Did you play it, Nate?
Not yet. No?
This
week has been too crazy for me, and it's hard because like I want to play it, and then I've got Mass Effect over here, and I've got Diablo over here, and then I've got work in the background being like, don't forget, you got to submit the budget. And so I have not yet, but I've done all the other ones. I mean, usually when they come out, I play them within the first week or so. So I'll do it this weekend. We do have a long weekend. There's the holiday on Monday, so I have a long weekend here, and that'll be fun. I'll jam through it. I did buy the bundle. I think the bundle looks super cool.
That's actually a good transition to the bundle.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah, if you guys want to pick up the bundle, we do have that in the store now. It's $9.99. You get the new Frost Wolf Thrall portrait, where you get 5 Shaman packs, $9.99. So you said you did pick that one up. Did you get anything cool in it?
I got 40 dust times 5.
Ooh!
Yeah, I got a pretty cool portrait though. I mean, you win some, you lose some. It's not a big deal.
Back in my day, we paid $10 for portraits and portraits alone.
And a card back, I think.
That's true. We did get a card back.
That's true. Oh man. Hey, speaking of card back,
wow, we're on fire. Lunara's Garden card back has returned to the store. $2.99 or 500 gold. This was originally available when you hit rank 20 in rank play back in May 2018. We don't know exactly how long this is going to be in the store for. They're usually not there very long. An estimated end date would be around June 2nd. So if you're looking to pick this up and don't have it yet, I would hop on it quickly because I missed out on on the Valera skin, and I'm ticked to this day, and I have no idea when I'm going to be able to get it again.
it's going to be about 3 years going judging by these, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm a whale. I grabbed them all, and I just didn't. I remember I logged on just to click on it. It was like one day too late. Silly. Also, back in the store, we got a lot of stuff back in the store. I guess they're finally listening. Hey, like put this stuff in the store. We have the Magni Bronzebeard hero back in the store. Either $9.99 or 1,500 gold. So.
Very cool.
Yeah, I absolutely love Magni. It is one of my favorites. I like to play Magni as Pirate Warrior. I think it's really funny.
You confuse all your opponents.
Well, yeah, because he's got the best armor up, right? Like, it looks so cool. And so...
My beard.
Oh, man, you're so good at that. I love it.
Thank you.
So I find it hilarious to do the Pirate Warrior, but there's a special shout out here to Wolfram, who was petitioning for the last 56 days on Twitter, posting to bring back Magni, and Wolfram finally got their wish, and even got a shout out on the Hearthstone Twitter when it was announced. And our good friend Nate Wolf here did a good little Photoshop,
right? This
he took
so
Wolfram's head. Yeah, you tell him, Nate.
So here's what happened. So MarsPad reached out to me. So Wolfram's been posting this every day, right? 56 days in a row, and so MarsPad reached out and he's like, "Hey, our buddy over here is petitioning for this over and over and over. And what do you think about doing a little," or I think maybe he just posted, "Hey, can someone do a Photoshop?" And they tagged me in it, and I think tagged a couple of other people. And I was like, oh, yeah, I can do this. And coincidentally, it was last Sunday when Sheep and I were working on the sheets behind the scenes. So we had like from 10 to 12 Pacific, or from 12 to 2 Central, where you're at. Part of the sheets, I don't know, honestly, like, you do all the work. I'm sort of there as moral support. And but so I've got the sheets and we're talking about it, and I'm looking at it, and that tweet came through, and I was like, I can do that. And I just happened to be on at the right time, and I love it. Like, Wolfram, he's got the ginger red hair, like, it works perfectly with Magni. And so I was like, yeah, I'll jam that. And so I jumped on Photoshop, and like, his face just fits right there. It was so great. And so
it's so perfect.
And so I put that together and sent it off to him. Was like, is this what you're talking about? They're like, oh yeah, that's cool. And so it was kind of fun. We did this like right before they released the skin. It was like a day or two before. And then someone else, I can't think of the name off the top of my head, then took this and dropped it down into the like the hero portrait thing, and Wolfram was using it on his Twitch stream to cover up the normal warrior portrait. He was using this like in the little hero portrait, and that was cute. And then so when Hearthstone tweeted it out, they had like a little screenshot or whatever of his thing, and I was like, oh, I made that. That was fun. It was really cool. So I'm happy for him, because he had petitioned hard for it, and so that was pretty fun.
Yeah, he needed to have Magni, like, legitimately. I think he needed to have it. So I'm so glad for anyone who didn't already have it, but Magni's back in the shop.
He looks so happy. I'm happy for him. That's great. So that's the story.
I mean, just a happy ending, right? All around.
Yes.
All right. Well, next up, we got an announcement from Blizzard. Well, a statement, anyways, about BlizzCon. So on May the 26th, we got a statement saying that creating an in-person event takes many months of preparation, and the complexities of the pandemic have resulted in an in-person event not happening this year. So they are planning to do a global event for the early part of next year and combining an online show with smaller in-person gatherings. So whatever that means, let your tinfoil hat start thinking. And I guess we'll see, because this past year we had the online BlizzCon, BlizzCon line. So it seems like it's going in a similar fashion as this past year, with maybe some smaller in-person little things. I think that could be, pretty cool, and they're playing it safe. So what do you guys think about this?
I think it's smart. Like the amount of legwork and planning and forethought that goes into it's planning any event is, not inconsequential. I can only imagine what the logistics are behind a BlizzCon.
Oh, dude. Yeah, planning small events takes a lot. Planning an event of this magnitude, like, they're not joking when they say, hey, there's a lot of preparation and complexities. Like, there's a lot of there's a lot, because it's not just them. There's vendors, and there's community members, and there's employees, and then they've got whatever the state
build sets, and they commission all sorts of technological screen walls and all sorts of stuff that looks amazing. But holy moly, the magnitude of work that goes into it.
I knew it was coming, man.
As soon as Nate said it, I knew I had to work
it was in here. Oh, that's hilarious.
That's great. BlizzCon line, I thought, was really well done. And so I enjoyed it, and I liked being able to, I was like, well, I want to watch Hearthstone, I want to watch Diablo, I want to maybe take a peek at WoW, because I like the cinematics, even though I don't play. And I don't know. I mean, historically for me, I've never gone. I would like to go at some point, but I like being able to, check out the stuff, and essentially, I've bought always the the online pass, and so this year was like, okay, cool. This is the thing that I've paid for the last 2 years, except this year I get it for free. And so, I don't mind. At the end of the day, when you start talking pandemic stuff, better safe than sorry, I think, is a good mantra there. And so, not only is it unrealistic that they could pull something out by, typically it was in the end of the summer, right? Was it July, August, something like that? And, there's no way that they could pull something off that quickly, at least not good. And I am of the belief that if you're going to do something, you should do it right, and to wing it for an event of that size, nope. So we'll see. I don't know what they mean by small in-person events. My mind goes to kind of what they would do with the innkeepers, fireside gatherings and stuff like that, and that assumes hey, that it's safe to do in your area depending on what's going on with the COVID stuff, and they can wing it. So I don't. It is what it is. I'm not surprised at all, and hopefully, the pandemic magically goes away, and a year from now we can have an in-person BlizzCon that I probably still won't attend. But look at the cat!
Oh, look at the kitty! Sorry for everyone who can't see the kitty.
You guys you're missing out.
She's so happy.
Okay, well, next up in our news, I actually heard about this bit of news while listening to our friends over at Coin Concede just last night. There's a new little blog series that Hearthstone has put out called Tavern Talks. And I guess it's some interviews with people from the scene, and they're just trying to highlight different people in the community. And our friend over there, Coin Concede, Edelweiss, got featured in the very first one.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And you know what else? The person that wrote it, and I hear that it was kind of a collaboration, but the person who actually got to do the interview is our buddy Deck Tech Nick Weiss, who just got hired with Blizzard as well. And so it was like, whoa, cool. It's very like surreal when you have friends who are now working for the company and friends who are being interviewed by the company, and it's like, wow, what a small world. But it was such a great interview. I would encourage anybody to read it. And check out Coin Conceit as well. A great show with some good friends of ours, and so that was very cool. Very cool. And we're all available if you want to interview us. Just saying. I mean,
it's so neat when it hits close to home like that, right?
Right? Absolutely.
I just think
cool.
Yeah. It is. Our next piece of news that we have out is something that happened very recently. We got the mini set announcement. It just happened right out of nowhere. We didn't have too much of leading up announcements out of announcements. We got to speculate a little bit, but I guess it's launching on June 3rd. The cinematic trailer dropped just yesterday.
Right. Yeah.
Which I thought it was clever. It was kind of neat. And so details, we have 35 brand new cards, individual cards, so 66 in total. And there's 4 legendaries, 1 epic, 14 rares, and 16 commons. So you can get this by either paying $14.99 or you can use 2,000 in-game gold. And so if you've been playing along the rewards track so far, you may have this already. So that's really cool for free-to-play players using the rewards track. This drops on June 3rd, which is a Thursday. And card reveals started today.
Yep.
Out of nowhere.
Right?
We're like, we got a show to do tonight. And suddenly there's new cards. What are we gonna do?
My only complaint is that there was no music with the cinematic. We need a Ben Brode rap. We need a Ben Brode rap song. It's so funny though. I love Guff. You guys, if you haven't watched it, you really should watch it. But incredible. I mean, essentially what it is like the elder saying like, you can't go in here. It's too dangerous. And they're like, okay. And then he leaves, and Guff goes, we are going in there, and we're not telling him, or something like that. It was so silly.
Yeah.
It was very funny, and I'm ruining it. But if you guys watch it, it was better than I make it sound.
If you've ever actually been in Wailing Caverns, it's just full of the inside jokes, and it's just funny. It's a good laugh. And I like the animation as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely. And so we've seen a couple of cards come out so far. They did a teaser image of like 4 legendaries, no text on them at all, but here's 4 legendaries. And one thing I did want to say before we got too far into it is just give a giant shout out to Goliath the Dwarf, who completely called the Murloc, Mutanus the Devourer. Mm-hmm. Like, yep, called it when he came on the lore show for Forging the Barons, and yep, here we go. And then Hearthstone revealed the golden animation, and you can see the big old giant bug-eye Murloc eyeballs moving all around in different directions. It reminded me of Cthulhu. It was so great. So that's well done, my friend. Well done. I'm sure we'll have to look at some of the other cards as well, but I was very pleased that you hit the nail on the head with that prediction there. So and again, like we were talking about earlier in the show, next week we'll do a full set review of all 35 cards. But in the meantime, we've got 4 that were revealed today, officially by Hearthstone. I believe they were put on the Hearthstone Instagram account and then shared. They brought to our attention anyways by Imic. And so thank you guys for that. there have been a couple other leaks so far. If you guys want to see them, they're floating around on Twitter. We've got a special channel in our Discord for like new expansion hype, like leaked cards that you like. Hey, no spoilers. Like if you want to wait, you don't have to go there. But if you want to see them, so these cards would come out in like, I don't know if they were Russian or German or some other language, and then like fan translated. So they're not official, but like I'm sure they're correct. And so anyways, we're going to take a look at these 4 cards that were revealed today. So the one that is up right now is Mutanus the Devourer. This is a neutral legendary 7-mana 4/4 Murloc with a battle cry that says eat a minion in your opponent's hand, gain its stats. Like what? Okay. Sheep, what is your hot take on this?
My hot take is that there's always a bigger fish.
Yeah, that reminds me. I wish I had the graphic for it, but you had kind of a fun exchange with Celestal on Twitter earlier today. If you want to talk about that at all, but
Oh yeah, that was a blast. Swag, you are posted, a question about kind of the mechanic, and basically if it goes into the graveyard, or basically if it can be rezzed, or if it's just kind of like Reno, the hero Reno, like
just
works, where it's just like gone,
right? So yep.
And Celestalon's like, yeah, I mean, this is pretty much gone. So that's like, does it count as delicious? We had like a kind of back and forth of puns and like insight, and had of course had a really clever way of disrupting Cthulhu, which looked really cool. So I put on there, there's always a bigger fish, the Star Wars gif, and Celestalon replied just with the N'Zoth,
The fish
of N'Zoth.
Yeah,
The Battlegrounds card, though. Yeah. Kind of like a picture of that. So it's like, okay, well, is it because there's the N'Zoth card coming? Like, we've seen standard constructed cards go into Battlegrounds. Will we see it go the other way? Maybe. Maybe not.
I mean, it is a legendary in Battlegrounds, right?
Right.
I think I would love to see the Fish of N'Zoth in game. That would be great. It would probably be pretty OP, but
it would be so cool.
It would be so cool.
So elsewhere, Celestalon was like, it would only be delicious if it's 4/4 or larger. It's like, that'd be pretty impressive, wouldn't it? Imagine a Murloc eating something larger than itself. That'd be quite the achievement. So my kind of tinfoil hat theory is that the achievement itself is called "There's always a bigger fish." And I don't know if the Fish of N'Zoth kind of works its way into a constructed card, though. I think that'd be really cool.
Oh, dude, yeah. I like the idea of the potential disruption. We've been seeing people compare this to like a dirty rat. Now, it's random. Like, you don't know what's in your opponent's hand, but you drop this and the card is just gone. Like, you're going to have a lot of people rage quit or rage add you after using this. I want to play with it really bad. At 7 mana, it's really expensive, and it might be too late. Like, when we're looking at, APM Mage or Mozaki or something, like, it might be too late. The combo decks are not quite as prevalent these days. Back when Starliner was a thing, or we were seeing a lot of, last week we were talking about, like, Celestial Alignment, Malygos, Druid, and stuff like that. Like, hey, if you can eat a Malygos, like, that's pretty cool. I don't know. It's really interesting. It looks super fun. Like, is it gonna be good? Like, is it? I don't know. Is it gonna be super fun? Heck yeah. And so I don't know. People already are seeing like, oh, Shutterwalk. Oh, bounce it back to your hand. Like, I'm just excited to play with it. Hydra, do you have any thoughts on this?
I just think it's awesome. I love the flavor. Played against this guy and WoW. I think he's really cool. I do like the idea of disruption. I mean, we're going to have to be in a combo meta probably for anyone to really want to run it, but you could just put it in your deck for fun. I like fun, right? You can make some people angry. So I'm okay with that. Like, why not?
Somebody mentioned that, like, they're like, oh yeah, you just dropped this in your Reno lock, and then it corrupts Ticketus. It's like, well, there you go. We talk about making somebody angry. Like,
Yeah, I think Standard's gonna have a field day with Mutinous.
It does corrupt Ticketus. That's a good point. And you could totally eat, if it's a mirror, you could eat your opponent's Ticketus.
And it just makes N'Zoth better because it gives you an actual Murloc to play to actually bring back with new N'Zoth. I don't know if we're gonna play it in Wild, but like, gonna be fun to play in Standard.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean,
Now, does my question is, does his tongue move around when it's golden?
it does.
Yeah.
It does. They released
Okay.
it. They released
cool.
it. Already. The tongue like flaps around and the eyeballs move side to side. It's great. It's so great.
Sold.
Yeah. Yep. If yeah. Okay, so we got 3 other cards, and these are all the same type of card. So like in Barons, we got the Caravans. So in this mini set now we have the Dungeoneers, and so these are the people exploring the dungeons, right? So first up we have Frostweave Dungeoneer. This is a mage card. It's a rare 3 mana 2/3 with a battle cry. Draw a spell. If it's a frost spell, summon 2 1/1 elementals that freeze. Yeah, this is interesting. I mean, it definitely piggybacks off of some of the mechanics of the most recent set, and so I think this will be interesting. The battle cry is kind of cool. I like a couple of the other Dungeoneers better, but it looks like this is kind of trying to create that new archetype in Standard that they were pushing a little bit for Mage. I don't have a lot of thoughts in terms of application for Wild. Like, I just don't see this at all. But it's a cute card. Sheep, do you have any thoughts on this?
At least it's a battle cry and not if it happens to be on your board at the beginning of the next turn, like the Caravans.
Oh gosh, the Caravans are just so weak. Trying to do the achievements with them, I get so mad because you play the Caravan and your opponent then kills it, and I was like, bro, just let it live until the next turn and then kill it. Like, I'm only playing this for the achievement. Come on.
Right?
So I agree with you anyways.
But it's tutor draw with an upside if it happens to be a frost spell. That's kind of cool. I think Standard again is at the very least going to play around with this. And I don't know that we're going to, but
Spell
it's cool.
tribes are interesting.
Tribes are interesting.
We have not fully explored that yet, I think.
I agree. And having more interactions with spell tribes, I'm really excited to see how more of those spell tribe interactions kind of are developed in this and future sets. Like, I think that's really, really cool. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Hydra?
I don't think right now it has a home in Wild, but I do like what y'all are talking about with the spell tribes. I think there's a whole future with spell tribes. This could tutor, specifically what you're looking for. Maybe there's a cool frost spell that we have one day. But, I mean, it's understated, but it also draws a card. So it's, like, in a vacuum, it's not a bad card. I just don't know if... I don't think we're probably going to be using it in Wild in a deck anytime soon. It doesn't seem to have a home right now. But I think it's cool. I do. And I really like when Blizzard likes to make new things, and I'm all for it at all times. Right now, not so good.
Yeah. All right. Next up, and honestly, in my mind, the other two I think are better. So it'll be kind of fun to talk about those. So let us look here. The next one up is Devout Dungeoneer. So this is a priest card. Again, rare. This is a 3 mana 2/3 with a battle cry. Draw a spell. If it's a holy spell, reduce its cost by 2. Oh man, this is good. Like I don't see. I mean, I will slot this into Reno Mage or Reno Priest for sure, because I'm already running holy spells. I'm already running spells in general. Tutoring cards is great. Card reduction is great. Like, thinning my deck is great. I don't see a lot of downside here. I mean, I wish I'd rather pay 2 mana for it, but like the battle cry seems pretty good to me. And maybe I'm overhyping this, but like I like the idea of it. Drawing cards is good. So I don't know. Yeah. Well, like what are your guys' thoughts on this? I guess we'll go with you, Sheep. What do you think?
I think it's really interesting. Like you said, drawing cards is good. Tutor, draw is good. Discounting things, particularly in Raza Priest, is good. But what are you going to cut from that list to jam Devout Dungeoneer in?
I don't know.
I'm not so sure.
It's hard because the mana cost, like, I wish that it cost 2 instead.
Yeah.
It, like, when I look at the classic lists, like, typically you'll have, like, a Novice Engineer, or sometimes we're running, like, the Loot Hoarder or something just for draw.
True.
And, like, okay, you could swap that, I guess. The problem is, like, this is more expensive. The deck that I brought to talk about tonight, I think maybe you could drop it in there. We'll get there in a little bit. I don't know. I definitely want to try it out for sure. Mm-hmm. What is interesting to me is the corrupt cards for Priest right now that say, like, palm reading, I guess is not the right example. What is the other one? I don't remember what it's called. It's the Ouija board card, right? It's you draw a card, and if it's corrupt, then you reduce it by 2. I can't think of the name.
Oh yeah,
Insight.
Is it Insight?
Yeah, that's it.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here calling it Ouija board. There you go. I meant Insight.
I was like,
I told you it's been a long.
No, that's Mage.
It's been a long week. Anyways, the card, and when I play that, sometimes it's like, well, you can tempo it, you can greed it. You like drawing a card is great. If it just so happens that card is reduced, even better. So we'll see. I don't know. I definitely think that it's worth testing. I will say that.
Yeah, it's got a home deck. Whether that's like, the best version of that deck, maybe not.
Yeah.
But it's got a place, even in our format. So I think that's really awesome. What do you think, Hydra?
I think it's definitely better than the Mage Dungeoneer for sure. But like that almost needs to go unsaid. My other thought is that, like, being in Wild with all the crazy shenanigans and combos and stuff that we have, that we're sitting here questioning a card that's a 3 mana 2/3 that not only tutors a card, but it reduces its cost by 2, right? Like, that effect is mind-blowing, like 5 years ago or 4 years ago or even 3 years ago. Like, that's crazy. Like, it's a 3 mana 3/2. Okay, yes, that should cost 2 mana, but drawing a card, that costs, right? Like, and reducing it, like, it's a really, really good effect. But it just goes to show you that decks like Raza Priest, like, they're so tight, right? Like, that something like this, it has a really, really cool effect that we have to actually sit here and question, is this good enough? Right? Like, even though it's insane, like, in an old vacuum, like, it's a really, really cool. Like, I would have slammed this in every Priest deck back in the day, but yeah, Wild is pretty wild. So
if it drew a spell and reduces cost by 2, period, you would run this in everything.
Yeah. The fact that it needs to be holy.
Yeah, and that it's kind of a roll of the dice of whether it discounts it or not. And not draw a holy spell. That's what makes it a bit more iffy.
Yeah.
Truthfully.
If it, if you it's like you were saying, if it drew a spell and reduced it by 2, no matter what, I'd pull a Schmoopy Daddy and put 2 copies of this in my Reno Priest deck. Oh, we'll see. I like the hot takes. So all right, we've got one more. So the last one is a Shaman minion, Primal Dungeoneer. This is a rare 3 mana 2/3 with a battle cry. Draw a spell. If it's a nature spell, also draw an elemental. Okay, this is interesting. I suppose we're seeing some support for this elemental shaman archetype that they're trying to push. Now the funny thing is, like, I've been playing some standard trying to get Demon Hunter wins, and like elemental shaman I feel like is not very good, but if it curves out, like I've got steamrolled by it. That's a big if. That being said, if they're able to give it support, maybe there's potential. I mean, the idea of having that condition of playing an elemental each turn or your battle cries aren't triggering is tough. But if there's support for it, then maybe. I don't know. I'm skeptical, but like this is cute. The priest card is the one that I'm interested in, and even that is I'm like, So this will be interesting. That's about as optimistic as I'm going to get with it, but I will say interesting. Sheep, what do you think? I see the look on your face.
If Primal Dungeoneer itself was an elemental, then we might actually be playing some elemental shaman in standard.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you play it on 3, even if you get the tutor draw, then you break your elemental chain. You really want to have like a really, really heavy density of elementals in order to make that work. Because, elementals general trigger, to get any of their effects are conditional on you having played an elemental the previous turn. So if you're jamming this on 3, you can't just jam something that was conditioned on playing an elemental the turn before, even if you just drew an elemental that would synergize other. This card is almost I'm not going to say great. This card almost helps enable an archetype that isn't even good enough yet in standard with a smaller card pool.
Well,
we're not going to see it in wild, and I hate that, but I like, being able to tutor Zeph is cool, and it's definitely relevant.
Well, yeah, let me ask you on that wavelength, like, do you see this potentially going in like a Shutterwalk Shaman or something? Like, is there the right deck that has the right elemental and the right nature spell to make this work, or is that too much of a build around? No, I mean, okay, I see the skeptical look on your face, but I started seeing people play ice fishing in Shutterwalk Shaman with the 2 Murlocs of Fungal Master Flurgle and Toxfin because it's a full board clear, and so that was a pretty clear example of a very specific targeted like tutor draw, and it made me think, like, is this a build around in the right deck? Granted, it would be fringe, but like maybe give it to someone like Boltzmann or White Delight or some shaman expert to play around with it and see. I mean, it's not going to be me, I'll tell you that, but like I'm curious to see what will happen with it.
And if all of the spells that you play or like all but 1 or 2 are natures, then I think maybe. But the fact that you're kind of rolling the dice, yes, you draw a spell. So that in and of itself is really good. But if you're kind of relying on drawing an elemental and getting, either like Zeph or I don't know, like the big Taunty boy, the 5 mana 7/8.
Earth Elemental.
Thank you, Earth Elemental. And you don't draw a nature spell, then you can't do that thing. And if you're, running Zeph, then odds are you're a Highlander deck. And so you're not running duplicates of spells, which means that the spells that you are playing might not, have that critical mass of nature spells because you're only running 1 of each. And then it starts getting a lot more kind of high rolly on whether you actually, get the high roll effect. And, again, with Primal Dungeoneer itself not being an elemental, you can't even kind of consistently jam it into kind of like an elemental shaman to, trigger the future effects from the elementals in future turns either. So I really, really want to like Primal Dungeoneer, and there are several ways that it's almost right there into where like we would just be playing it, period. And I don't think that it's quite there. And I'd love to be wrong, but like I don't think so.
Well, and we can see, we are going to have a giant card dump over the next handful of days. And so yeah, whatever we say tonight, we may have changed our minds by next week. We'll see.
Whoa, look at that cool new nature spell, and that's an insane elemental.
Right?
And the nature spell is, if you draw this, then,
Right?
Get 7 Calamoses. I don't know.
This is why we are not giving these a numeric review value.
Right. Yeah.
What do you think, Hydra?
I put this in your back pocket. Wait for later. I know that's like the stupid cliche thing to say. I think it's super powerful. It's got targeted draw. It draws 2 things if you set it up correctly. It's gonna be niche in some sort of just Reno or combo deck in the future. It's not gonna pop into a straight up meta deck that we currently have. But I do think that it definitely has potential. I think you guys covered most of the bases there, but save it for later. Think about it in the future when you're doing your ingenious deck building, because it definitely has potential.
Yeah. That's fair.
Completely agree.
All right. Well, that's probably time for us to transition to our next topic, which is the meta and deck discussion, Nate.
Yeah, very cool. So we had something kind of fun over this week that our buddy Slizzle put together. We talked about this a little bit last week. So on May 19th, Slizzle tweeted out that he was collecting data for the first ever Wild Hearthstone community meta report. And he had created a Google form, and it was just open submissions to everybody that you could fill out this form, and he was collecting the data. And so what has happened over the past week is that the survey closed. And so he completed his community meta report. And so it's really interesting that, so he said he received 331 responses collected via Google Forms. And then he created a YouTube video where he analyzed the data. And it was really cool because he broke it down based on almost like how HS Replay or Vicious Syndicate will show both like the region that people are playing in, whether it's NA or EU or Asia or whatever, and then also the rank. And so he's got it broken down overall by like, okay, here's all 331 responses and what they thought, but then also broken down by NA and EU, broken down by 11-star legend versus 10-star legend, and then D5 to legend and then below. And it was really interesting how it deviated based on the ranks where people were at. And I thought it was really cool, actually. It was, it's interesting. I think that, I hope that he continues to do these. And I hope that, maybe there's a way that he could get more responses. I feel like the Hearthstone community is fairly active on Twitter, particularly the wild people. That being said, the folks who are very active wild Hearthstone community on Twitter are also like your most invested players. So these are all your 10-star and 11-star players. And so from a data analysis point of view, it's going to be a little bit skewed, at least in terms of your lower ranks, like
Self-selection bias.
Yes, there we go. I knew there was a word for it. What was fun for me as like, okay, I'm a 10-star player. Okay. Like that's been my life the last 13 months or whatever. And I filled out the survey as well. But when you compare like the 11-star to the 10-star, and Slizzle put it in a very polite sort of way, but essentially saying like, hey, look what the 11-star people thought, and then look what the 10-star people thought, and you can see where the 10-star people were wrong. And it was like, and he said it in such a polite way that was not disrespectful. But like, I was like, yeah, okay, that's why they're 11 stars. Okay. It was a great report. I think that, if people are interested in checking this out, the video was like the perfect length for me, because it was like just shy of 10 minutes or something. Like it's not real long, but he went through everything and did a great job. Plus he's got a nice accent. So I recommend this. And I think it'd be interesting. I hope you guys check it out. And I assume that he will probably be doing more in the future. Maybe not. I don't know. But that was cool in terms of meta reports, and we'll include the link in the show notes if you guys want to watch it. Otherwise, look at Slizzle466 on YouTube, and this will pop right up. Did you guys have a chance to either participate or watch the video?
I personally. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just yeah. What were you gonna say? Yeah.
I
just chance to see it.
I didn't watch the video yet, and I didn't know that there was a video posted, but I did participate in this, and it made me really happy to participate in this. And while 331 seems like such a small amount of how many people actually play this format, I was really happy to see that amount of people participate in the very first one. So I'm looking forward to seeing this grow and seeing what he can do with it. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like that is a really good first turnout for something that, like, for me, it just, like, I follow Slizzle, so it just popped up there, right? It just happened to be there, and it's not, all over the place, right? It was just there, and maybe in the future it's showing up on different websites and whatnot, and maybe, if it's on whatever, out of cards or like wherever it goes, like if it can maybe reach larger audiences and people that are at different ranks in Wild, or people that maybe play standard but they dabble and they're sitting down in silver or whatever, and they can express what they see when they play, right? And so I think that it's got a really good potential to get a much wider scope and a larger participation rate. So I think it's cool. Total props to Slizzle for coming up with this idea and having success on the first one. Mm-hmm. How about you, Sheep? What do you think?
I think it's incredible, and I can't wait to participate next time. I missed it this time in the participating part. My anniversary was May 19th whenever he announced it, which was awesome. And
you get a pass.
I have ADHD, and so whenever I see something, it's like, cool, I can't do that right now. That'll happen later. That it doesn't happen later.
Right.
Like, unless I put it in the specific place, blah, blah, blah. I digress. I didn't get to it, but I'm going to in the future, because like I love any sort of kind of data collection and analysis and stuff like that. Like 331 is really impressive, especially for a first outing. And I think that the more that he does these, the more that it'll kind of become, a routine, kind of however frequently it goes out. Like, hey, if it's on basically a schedule, I know that on what the 19th of every month, Slizzle's gonna put his form out, and I can just like pop by and check it out, fill it out, etc. As soon as that kind of becomes second nature, I think that we'll see that 331 increase rather than it being like, ooh, novel, and then decrease. I think that that's something that'll really take off rather than kind of fizzle out, especially with Slizzle's like dedication and work ethic. Like that'll really take off, and I look forward to participating.
Yeah, definitely. The other thing I think is really interesting about this is it's all opinion based, 100% opinion based.
Yeah,
and so it's not what I love about. It's different than the existing meta reports that we have, right? So we compare, like, Vicious Syndicate is data based, like pure statistical analysis data, and then we have Tempo Storm that is opinion based, but it's opinions of like the experts, like experts, and then we have like the pros and the Joes. Like, this is the Joe team over here, which I like, but it's just interesting to see. And the way he put this together is he had, 30 decks listed, like all the meta decks listed. And then you could select, like, I think this is, whatever tier. And so there was really it was very open-ended. He didn't do anything to try to skew this at all. I think it was really cool. And the other thing I think that you and I learned, particularly from doing the spreadsheets for the listener series, is that, like, every week we learn something new. Oh, let's try this. Oh, let's try this. Like last week, we hid the results until they were all submitted, and then they magically appeared. So I think as a first go, like, hey, this is super cool. And I wonder if, he continues doing this, that it will probably get better and better over time.
Oh, and as a university teacher, I believe he is of math. He could probably just get his students to do homework and do this like as a project for him.
Ooh, or even better, a TA.
Oh. Wow. I mean, that's great.
Yeah.
Not actual suggestions, unless.
but maybe. Yeah, that's pretty great. Anyways, yeah, I recommend it. We'll put the link in the show notes. You guys check it out. The link is in our Discord as well if you guys are interested in checking that out. Moving on a little bit to decks. So this week I was looking for something to play, especially trying to check off all these daily quests. And I was wanting to play some Priest. I saw this tweet by MartianBuu. He's great. So the way that he does his stream typically is the early in the month, he will take listener decks or viewer decks rather, and kind of play whatever the first 3 weeks, and then the last week of the month, typically he will like grind out his high legend finish. And so, but he posted this survey on Twitter saying, hey, I'm thinking about trying to gain some ranks during tomorrow's stream. What do you want to see? Dark Glare, Xyrella Priest, Odd Paladin, or no thanks, lose ranks. And so I saw Xyrella Raza Priest, and I had asked, like, is this good or is this bait? Like, if it's actually good, like, I'll craft it in gold. Because I think it would look really cool in gold, but like, is it bait? And he responded, and he said, hey, I only just started experimenting with it because I too was a heavy doubter, but I've been surprised with how good it's been so far. And he said, I crafted it in gold today myself.
Nice.
And so, what's interesting, I think, is the Raza Reno Priest deck. Like, the core is strong no matter what. Like, the game plan is essentially the same. It's how do you want to build it. And so this version of it is a little bit different. It runs a bunch of like low cost healing spells that work with Xyrella, and it's surprisingly easy to trigger, especially if you've already done Raza. Like, if it's a small board and they're all 2 health, like, you hero power and play Xyrella, and you got, little mini board clear, but then you got these, you've got your 0 mana Desperate Prayer that heals 5. You've got Penance. You've got Renew, and so you can get a pretty big board clear. Or you can go like full on like Meme King and do like the ultimate move of playing Reno Jackson and then Xyrella for a full board clear. So, it's interesting. I personally like it. It's been fun to play with. I kind of like the older version a little bit better. Now, there's pros and cons, right? I think the way I look at this is, in order to make Xyrella work, you need healing spells, and the healing spells on their own kind of suck. That being said, like, a 0 mana spell or a 1 mana spell is actually really awesome when you're comboing off with Spawn of Shadows, because I want 0 mana spells or 1 mana spells. And so, like, it's I don't think it's bad. I'm not sure it's better than the other version, but it's been a lot of fun to play with. And so, I don't know. I mean, I play a lot of Reno Priest over the last year. I've hit Legend with Reno Priest 5 or 6 times, and it's definitely fun. The support cards right now are a little bit iffy, but we'll see. And so I've been enjoying this, I will say. Like, if you're trying to climb outside of Legend with it, like to climb ladder with it, like, it's not bad. This is good against aggro for sure. The
one archetype that Raza Priest needed.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, have you guys seen this or played around with it at all? Even like, I mean, it's built around Xyrella, which is, it feels a little sus in my opinion, but it's been a lot of fun.
I haven't played around with it yet, but I mean, looking at it, it's got like a great core. Most of the heal spells are things that you want to be running in Raza Priest anyway.
Yeah.
With the only really notable exception being Desperate Prayer, right?
That's the only notable one that I saw.
Yeah.
I mean,
So I feel
again,
like if we get another cheap heal spell that we
Yeah.
can toss in instead of Desperate Prayer, then like this archetype will be chilling. But Desperate Prayer just kind of seems like it has anti-synergy with what you want to be doing whenever you're tossing down that Spawn of Shadows.
I will tell you, top decking Desperate Prayer sucks. Like that is not what I am looking to top deck. But you know, I don't know.
Now, what was he playing this on stream?
I assume yes, but he usually streams when I'm at work, and I don't get a chance to watch as much as I would like to.
Because I did feel like I ran into it a few times recently, so I just wonder if it was out there a little bit. And as someone who does like to play more aggressive decks, I've lost to it and I've won against it because, like, my concern with Xyrella was, like, when Priest has board clears, why do you want to do, like, a combo to board clear? It was sort of like my reason why I didn't rate it as well. So I've had the, heal your face and, deal 2 damage to the board or whatever. And I'm like, oh, I'll just, big deal. Half my board's still there. I'm just going to keep hitting you in the face. It's fine. But it's also cleared my board as well. So I don't have a solid opinion on it. Like I've lost to it and I've won to it. It seems okay. I don't know if it's the best way to build Reno Priest, but it's a different way, right? And
Yeah.
I always encourage that, and I think it's fun to play with new toys, especially the shiny gold ones.
Right. Yeah.
I have a golden Xyrella, so I'm gonna have to try it out too.
Yeah, it's been fun. I will say that I'm not. It's difficult because playing this late in the month, like, okay, so we're recording today and it's the 28th, so we've got 3 more days of laddering, before the reset, and I'm sitting here in, like, the bottom of Legend, in the 2000s somewhere, and like it's
2000s.
Yeah, so
I'm in the 4000s.
I didn't know it went that low. That's great. I love it.
I didn't either.
Shots fired.
That's
Well,
that's
I said
what
earlier.
that's what
My
happens
goal
when
has been to complete achievements, not to win.
right. Well, yeah. Hey, you got your 10 stars for sure.
Exactly. Don't need to worry about it.
I don't, I'm not sure how good it is to ladder with. I feel like it's difficult to judge at the end of the month, where I would like to, try it on day 1, day 2, day 3, and see how it performs then. But it's been fun. So what I'm interested to see the decks that you guys are talking about. So, as just a super brief side note, Hydra, you said that you picked the Druid hero portrait for your level 100 portrait because you've got so many wins left to get your, like, 1K Druid.
Yeah, Druid is one of my lowest played classes, and I needed a motivator, I guess, or like something to make me actually play the class. And basically on the ladder, things have been stale for me. I've been playing a lot of the same decks over and over, and I do like to play faster decks, and I haven't played a lot of Druid. So Sheep raised his hand and said, "Hey, I got something for you," and he's going to talk about it here tonight. And a quick little note before Sheep talks about the decks we have here. I'm going to play these, at least the first one, because I already input the deck code in, and I was only missing like 2 golden cards. So, like, okay, we're doing it. We're gonna do this.
One of us.
So Sheep, do you want to tell me what we got here?
Yeah, absolutely. Since it is, of course, my personal goal to get you Druid wins, I had to bring a couple of aggro Druid builds.
Yes.
The first one, the one that you had mostly in gold already, is the one that I actually got the 11-star multiplier with twice. I know I was just bragging about being in the 4,000s, but whenever my goal is to win, I can do that thing. And actually, I hit day 1 legend last season, with only 10 stars. So off meta, and with only 10 stars, day 1 legend.
That's good.
It's a good deck. It's a really good deck.
I think you can flex now. That's pretty great. That's well earned for sure. That's very cool.
So it's a really fast deck, which is why I was just kind of like hanging out on the couch, like watching TV with the wife, slinging some aggro druid. It caps out at 3. So there are only 2 cards in it that are at 3, and that is Savage Roar and Voracious Reader. But it can actually go toe-to-toe in the later game once you actually drop your Embiggens, right? Because it basically turns you from like an aggro deck into a mid-range deck. Like, you're playing a lot of cheap stuff, you drop Embiggen, it's still cheap, just slightly less so, and now it's got stats. Mm-hmm. And you can just keep on pumping the board full of cheap stuff. Synergizes with, like Gibberling. You want to play the Gibberling and then Embiggen or Adorable Infestation, and you just get a really wide board, and then you can Mark of the Lotus, you can Power of the Wild, you can Roar, and just get them. So that's my personal favorite build. I have played a lot with kind of some slightly different ones. This one, we talked about him earlier. Slizzle has been piloting this one lately, and I haven't played as extensively with this particular build. I love the Arcane Golem in it. But the really big inclusion in that is, of course, Arbor Up and then one of Pride's Fury. So, outside of that, it still caps out at 3. It's only got 1 Roar because it mostly goes with Arbor Up and makes your board stickier rather than just burstier. And that's probably a little bit better in this particular meta. Whenever there are like board clears and stuff like that target cheaper or lower health minions, buffing up their health with Pride's Fury and Arbor Up is relevant.
I see Sir Finley didn't make the cut on that one as well.
Unfortunately, he did not. A couple notable inclusions in both of them are the Nerubar Weblords. Raza Priest goes from super unfavorable to almost auto win if you can get and stick a Weblord.
Please don't play this deck against me. Okay.
See, unless you actually get the Weblord down, it's like practically impossible because like they can just drop Raza, they can drop Reno, they can just like heal up, and then your boards, you've got minimal draw engines because you either win or lose pretty quickly, unless you get your Embiggens, which in which case then you have some more sticking power. So the games are quick, the games are fun, and you get them.
Yeah. So you mulligan for a pirate and Embiggen, right?
Yes. Yeah, those are the biggest ones. If you have like Embiggen and what's his name? The 1-mana dude, Intrepid Initiate. Sometimes you can keep Intrepid Initiate as well because, then you've got a 3/2 on board that also buffed up your whole deck. Odds are you're also keeping something like Adorable Infestation. In the Slizzle's version, like the Nature Studies, something like that as well. It's great.
I like it. What my favorite thing is, the beginning of next season is coming, and I feel like day 1, nothing to lose, right? Like I'm gonna gem this first list. I'm gonna go with yours first. I've already called it Sheepy Aggro or something silly like that. And I love me some Sir Finley. And topping out at 3, I think is just hilarious. It's just so aggressive. So I think this is going to be day 1. Let's just jam this as much as you can all month. Let's get those wins. I appreciate it. I'm gonna do this for sure.
Yeah.
Where it gets a little bit more nuanced is whenever you're in an aggro mirror, right? So it's kind of knowing when to trade, because you want to have a wide board, and when to just like go face and make them do the trading for you. That's when it gets a lot more nuanced and tricky. Against control,
sure.
You just get them.
Yeah. Well,
I do love the whole argument when people say aggro being so brainless, right? But yes, okay, maybe when you're facing, a deck that's just going to clear your board or control you, yes, you are going to go face the entire time.
That's your out.
That's how you win the game. Thank you. But when everybody else on day one's playing aggro too, well, completely different story, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love this because the games are so fast that it's like, hey, you win or lose in like, what, 3 to 4 minutes, probably, something like that.
Yeah.
And then you move on to the next game.
If you're past that time-wise, you probably should have just conceded already.
So yes and no. Like once you've dropped an embiggen or two, if you've got 2 embiggens, you actually have a lot more sustain than you would think, especially if you get life tap from Sir Finley.
Oh, life
barf,
tap.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love both of your reactions. Hydra's like, yeah. Nate's like, oh. Yeah.
I get excited. He gets mad.
I've faced that so many times, and it's like, I mean, so I speaking on behalf of the Cabal classes, okay, who I represent, you can only clear the board so many times, and like, okay, I've got Defile, I've got Penance, I've got Hysteria, I've got Mass Hysteria. There's some stuff, but like, you run out, and you run out pretty quickly,
and you have to draw the stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Like.
Yeah. Well, and
if I played double embiggen, then I'm getting a 3-mana 5/6 beaming sidekick that is buffing something else on my board. What?
Right?
Yeah. That's the stain.
Well, and like a Psychic Scream costs 7, and you're not gonna be alive at turn 7, Or
that's the goal.
And so it's no, it's tough. It's tough for sure. And by the way, like your yellow cards don't work very well when there are web lords on the board. So or your battle cry cards in general. I mean, it just makes the Reno decks very difficult to play. So you see this coming, it's like, oh no. I mean, I've had the games are very decisive early on. Like, you sort of all in, and like turn 1, turn 2, you've got a full board of buffed things. And like, if I can clear it and you're top decking and you haven't played Embiggen, like, okay, then I probably win. But when you like Embiggen or double Embiggen on turn 1, turn 2, it's like, no, it's just not gonna happen. So I like this. I think I've seen you have a lot of success with it. I've seen Blue Train have a lot of success with it. Oddlaw has had a lot of success with it. There's some people who are really good players, and I think that if you want wins, like somebody told me this in the past, because like I'm super close to 1K with both Shaman and Warrior. I'm like at the 950 mark, right? And they're like, just jam Pirate Warrior, just jam Murloc Shaman, like these fast aggro decks. I'm like, oh, I don't really like it. But can you imagine playing Odd Warrior and each match is 30 minutes, or you can play Pirate Warrior and the match is like 4 minutes, 5 minutes maybe. And it's like, well, if you're trying to get those wins, like that's the right way to do it. So
yeah. No, exactly. I like it. I'm gonna try it. Thank you, Sheep.
Yeah, fun stuff.
Absolutely. And if you need like any tips, or like you come across any situations, like shoot me a message on Discord, and I'll be happy to, even if I'm not addressing it while you're in the moment, hey, you'll at the very least kind of know what to do at that point. And sometimes the answer is just, well, you lose. You figure it out pretty quick.
Well, that's been some good advice that I've received when playing aggro decks, is like, know when to call it. Like, you don't need to draw it out. Like, if if you're gonna lose, like just let it go and move on.
Sometimes I'm a bitter aggro player, and I'll make my control player like earn the win. That sounds very petty of me, but I'm like, you know what, Raza Priest, you're gonna have to machine gun me 20 minutes into this stupid match. Like, you're gonna like you put those cards in that deck for a reason. You know, I'll let you do it. Just this bitter, bitter me.
I will say, whenever I was getting the 11-star multiplier in both Wild and Standard, that's whenever I learned when to just, like, you know, toss it out, just concede, and move on to the next game.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever I was playing this and Aggro Demon Hunter.
Yeah.
It's just, great fun decks. And I wish Aggro Demon Hunter was back.
I was gonna say, at least one person is having fun, right?
I guess it
I wasn't
depends.
playing it right at release for Aggro Demon Hunter.
Yeah.
Still Stepper was in the list.
Ooh, still Stepper.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on my mood, right? Like if I'm like trying to climb really, really quickly or whatever, then I'm definitely gonna concede a match. I know that I've lost. But if I'm like eating ice cream and Netflix is on the side, and I'll be like, yeah, sure, I'll play it out.
That's great. That's great.
You just explained most of the times that I'm playing Hearthstone.
Yeah,
Not in a bad way, right?
No. I know. You say you sit on the couch next to your wife. I used to do that and just like play on my phone, you know, watch TV or whatever. I haven't done that in a long time. I think I've probably gotten a little too dependent on, you know, like using deck tracker and that sort of thing and looking at stats. Like I got HS Replay open. I'm looking at mulligan guides and I'm all in there. But, you know, when I first started playing the game, I was legitimately like sitting on the couch and just watching TV.
So that's actually kind of an integral part of whenever I'm learning a deck is the step from taking it from the PC and playing it on mobile or tablet, you know, but playing it, you know, on a screen instead of a PC, because then I have to know the deck and I have to know what it is I'm doing. And whenever those resources are there at my fingertips, I'd be foolish not to use them, right? Like I really would.
Well, you get dependent on them, though. Yeah.
Very much so. So whenever I move to the couch, I mean, like I'm probably, you know, a poor couch buddy sometimes because I'm, you know, on my tablet or whatnot. But that's whenever I'm kind of like engaging with it in that kind of different way because I don't have, you know, Hearthstone, Deck Tracker, or Firestone in the, because I run both, in each corner telling me how much attack I have like at that turn. I don't have to think about whether I have lethal or not because it tells me.
Yeah. I actually didn't know that was a feature for the longest time, that it tells you if you have lethal or not. But, so when I did do the couch thing, I had my own makeshift deck tracker back in the day by the good old pad of paper where I would have my deck list like next to me. So whenever my mulligan would come up, I'd like, okay, like look at what I have on my piece of paper and do it old school. My wife used to make fun of me because the side of the couch that I sat on was littered in deck lists and paper with scribbles and everything. And she'd always be like, making fun of my nerd papers.
That's rad.
It's your handy dandy notebook.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Good times though.
That's
Blue's
great.
Clues reference.
Yes.
For the uninitiated.
Oh man, that reminds me. I've got a joke I got to show you guys later. I just need to find it. It was great. Anyways, so we're sort of running out of time a little bit. I want to switch over to our weekly challenge, if that's cool. So we didn't have one last week, but we are back with one this week, and we received some fun feedback from the Discord, and essentially, sort of it was really interesting because the challenge that we did that got the most community interaction and the most responses was also the most open-ended, which I thought was interesting, because typically what when we put these together, the idea was like, let's have a decisive winner, build the biggest thing, you know, and And you'd have people one up each other, but I think what we would start to see is that, like, okay, once you build this giant thing, can someone else like top it when it gets super huge? And people will get intimidated, and it's like, I can't beat that. Like, I'll just back off. And so the one that we did, it was a suggestion from Timbo, who called it Suicide Squad, and it was essentially like self-lethal in the most creative manner possible, and it was just like super open-ended. And I was like, well, okay, but that's going to force us to be really subjective, and we're just going to have to pick a winner, and then y'all going to have to deal with it, or there's not going to be a decisive winner. Are you guys cool with that? And they loved it. Like, okay, cool, let's do something like that. So here's the challenge for this week. The challenge for this week is to come up with the most creative OTK that you can using Carnivorous Cube. So it's very, very open-ended. I want it's going to have to be some kind of wombo combo, whether it's ideally one turn. So here's the example, and I've got a YouTube video that you guys can watch. I had a really difficult time pulling this off. I remember I kept trying to do this on ladder and kept dying, and I finally called Hydra and I was like, hey, can we do a casual game? And like, you don't have to play around anything, but just don't kill me, okay? And just let me do let me do my thing. And and so the combo that I did was essentially was reducing everything, playing Alexstrasza to reduce the opponent's health to 15, playing, and then it was like Ragnaros, Carnivorous Cube, Faceless Manipulator, Deathwing to kill everything. Your opponent's left with 15, and you've got double rag on the board, so it's like 8 to the face, and it's an OTK. It's absurd. You will lose many games trying this, but when it works, it's hilarious, right? It's glorious to have that big combo moment. And so you can't use my example, okay? So you cannot use my Alex double rag combo. I want to share the video. It will be in the show notes. It's on our YouTube. I posted it in chat if you guys want to see what I'm talking about. So again, the challenge for this week is the most creative OTK that somehow utilizes a Carnivorous Cube. It could be 1, it could be 2, I don't really care. So the way that you do these is you can play them either on ladder or in casual. Cannot do it against the innkeeper. You cannot do it against a friend. It's too cheating. It's too easy. The innkeeper's too easy, and friends will let you win. So, but we won't make you tank your rank to do this like Hearthstone. Those bad people. I'm joking. So there it is. The way that you show us this is a little bit trickier. Normally screenshots are great. With something like this, it's much better if we can see the replay. So if you can drop us a link to your HS replay or your link to the Firestone replay, or video it, just record it and post it, on YouTube or Twitter or wherever so that we can watch it. And then in our Discord server, there is a channel called Contest Entries, and just post it there. And then, unfortunately, we get to be the bad guys and sort of just pick the one that is the spiciest. So I'm interested to see what people come up with. And I'm really excited. It can be, you guys can get creative with this and really think outside the box. I'm looking forward to it. The question, what do you win, is a couple packs on us and some bragging rights. So I hope that you all will, engage in this and humor us here with this challenge this week. After the show's over, I'll post this challenge off in the Discord so that people can get started on it right away, and hopefully we see some entertaining things. I see Ben from work over here scheming away already, and so I think that will be a lot of fun.
And don't forget about blowing the minds of your opponent when you pull it off, because that's the best part. That's the best part, right? Especially if they actually sit through it.
Yeah,
Instead of conceding, because that's the worst part, is if they concede, right?
I did the cool thing. You didn't let me see it.
right. Sometimes you gotta pull it off super quick, because if you draw it out too long, like, they'll concede, and you really want to see it happen. So
I feel like there's a lot of cool opponents out there that see what's coming, but at the same time, like, all right, let's see what you got. This is cool. I see what's going on here.
right.
And I bet that's even more the case in casual, right? Where
Yes.
people are bringing the spicy stuff, and so if you're bringing spicy stuff too, they're like, "Hey, I want to see that spicy stuff. Lay it on thick."
Yeah.
Definitely. Very cool. Very cool. Alrighty. Well, that is about it for us. Before we go, I did want to say a big thank you to our great friends who support our show. So first and foremost, thank you to Shokunin, who's the executive producer of our show, has been supporting us from day one. Thank you so very much for your support. Also, thank you to our patrons. So Disruptor 108, Claudette G, Daniel B, Wildcard, Aramorn, Ben from Work, AJ Gomez, and we got a new patron over the past week. I'm going to butcher your name. I'm very sorry about it. NM Berthy. I'm very sorry. I don't know. Wait, say it again.
That is number theory.
Number theory. Oh my God. How did I not notice that? Number theory.
That's so funny, because you hear number theory all the time, like in other podcasts around the community. I've heard number theory a million times, but when you read it,
I'm sitting here looking at it, and I'm like, it's like a license plate. Like, I look at license plates quite a bit, and it's like NM, like New Mexico, New Mexico Berthy. Like, what? You guys? Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. That's great. I'm not cutting this.
That's incredible.
I was just thinking, like, Nate's gonna re-record that part and say number theory.
Yeah. Well, I'll get it right next week. We really appreciate it. So thank you very, very much. We put it back into the show. And so, yeah, New Mexico Berthy, your name is forever changed. Sorry. That's what I told Jack. I told Jack when Jack was on the show, his tag is, it's Junior H Skate, right? And it's like, how do you get Jack from that? Okay. So New Mexico Berthy, that's it. Number theory, thank you very much for being a new patron on the show. It's very kind of you, and we appreciate it. If anybody who is watching or listening is interested in supporting our show financially, you could do that by visiting our website. It's borntobewildhs.com, clicking on the Find Us page, and then there's a link to our Patreon. That money directly supports the show, and we very much appreciate it. We also have some merch on our website. Wildcard and his wife run our merch shop, and there's some great things there. And finally, if you're somebody who is on Twitch a lot, we do have some emotes that you can unlock by subbing to us. We appreciate that. Finally, a big thank you to Firestone for providing us premium access to their service. We've been having a lot of fun with their deck tracker. You can get the free version by going to firestoneapp.com. It's been a lot of fun, and they have been very open to ideas and suggestions, and been very communicative with us, and it has been an absolute blast working with them. And so, I highly encourage people to check it out. If you're interested, there is a premium version that you can get. I believe it's $2.99 per month, if that's something that you would like to do. Aside from that is basically us for the night. Sheep, thank you so much for hanging out with us. I hope that we can do it again soon. Oh, wait, next week we are.
Yay!
For people who want to interact with you or find your content, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitch and Instagram at ElectricSheepCity, on Twitter at eSheepCity, because the whole thing didn't fit, and elsewhere online at www.electricsheep.city.
Super cool. Thank you for hanging out. It's been an absolute blast.
It's
Always
nice hanging out with y'all.
Always a good time when you come on. I always appreciate it when you're here.
Yeah, it's always a blast to catch up and hang out with some buds.
Appreciate it, something like that. God, that's really bad. I'm sorry. Okay, wow, the dad jokes are so flowing. It's great. Hydra, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Twitch at Hydralisk_HS, and you can always find me in our Discord. And I highly recommend you all come check out the Discord. Very active community. If you're looking to hang out, talk wild, or just hang out in general, we got a great community in there, a lot of interaction, and it's a good place to be. So come check us all out there.
The jokes are so bad tonight. It's great. Okay. You can find me online. I'm pretty active on Twitter, for good or for bad. I'm very active on Twitter at NateWolfTCG. It's NateWolfeTCG. More importantly, you can find the show online at our website, borntobewildhs.com. I have been neglecting updating it a little bit, but we have a long weekend. Hopefully I can get everything current by this weekend. Again, it's borntobewildhs.com. If you visit the website, there are links to all the different places that you can find the show. There are links to the YouTube. There are links to the Discord. And I will echo what Hydra said in terms of the Discord really is where it's happening. One of the main things that we try to do with this show is to spotlight members of the wild community and just the community in general, hanging out, sharing lists, having fun, whether it's Hearthstone related or real life or everything kind of in between. And the Discord has just been a very fun place to interact with the community. And so I recommend it. We have a low tolerance for drama. It is mostly just a great time happening over there. And so I recommend people to join it. Even if you're not big on social media, it's very community oriented and we have a lot of fun with it. So if you're interested in checking out the Discord, the easiest way to find it is go to our website on the click find us, and there's a direct link to an invitation to join the Discord. So yeah, that is it. And thank you all who have been hanging out with us tonight, watching the show live in chat. So we really appreciate you guys all hanging out. And giant shout out to Hydra's wife for making that awesome Murloc. It's super cool.
Oh!
Awesome. All right, we'll see y'all next week for another new episode of Born to Be Wild, and look forward to our review of the mini set. And thank you all for hanging out tonight. See you next week.
Bye.